He is the author of The Business of Lending Money to the Masses. He is a lender, investor, and lending consultant. And in this next session, we are going to drill him with questions. You will learn 5 ways or more to increase lending volume in 2021, how to deal with the current global situation, what the new administration means for our industry, and why Jer is more excited than ever for the future of short-term lending. You will learn how Jer has managed to survive and thrive even during things like Operation Chokepoint. These same strategies will work today and 20 years from now. Jer will be joined by myself and Nick Leyva. This is going to be awesome. Way cool, guys. Nick, so excited to be here with you. Jer, super excited to be here with you. Thank you so much for giving us and everyone at TCLS an hour of your time. We are excited for this conversation. You guys, as we mentioned, we're going to cover 5 ways to increase lending volume in the current economy. We've got the expert author, business consultant, and lender, Mr. Jer Ayles. Jer, did I say your last name correctly?
Yeah, but where is he? I don't see him.
There's the man, guys.
This savant. Where's the savant? I need his help right now myself.
Oh, man. Jer, all right, before we jump into the meat of all this, we really wanted to ask you this kind of crazy question that we love to ask everybody. And that is, how did you find yourself in the lending world? And what triggered you to get passionate about all this?
I have some sort of passion for history and finance and banking and this whole mantra of lending to the masses. You know, we spoke previously regarding, whether it's the oldest profession or not. You know, we can debate that at a later time. But it's lending to the underbanked and the subprime arena is it's never going to abate. So I'm out there trying to just basically help folks understand that, you know, we can offer good, a multitude of plethora of financial products and help the common guy and not rip them off, rate them, overcharge them, etc.
You know, it's really cool. I love how you start out talking about the oldest industry or possibly the oldest industry, right? And your take on history, that could be such a broad scope, right? So for our audience today, what Jer's really going to do here for you is he's going to dial in on the current economy, and he's going to be sharing with you 5 ways to really make the most out of today's economy and help your business. And the first one is going to be understanding a little bit more about lending as the oldest profession. The second one is going to be diving into COVID-19. You know, it accelerated the movement to digital lending. And then thirdly, he's going to be discussing what the Biden victory means for our industry. The fourth one will be discussing universal rate caps. I know a lot of people have a lot of interest in that. And the fifth one, you know, from Jer's perspective, is going to be how do we measure everything and how do we take advantage of a lot of different tools and ideas. So let's go ahead and dive in a bit more to lending as the oldest profession. You've done tons of research. You've looked through all this. Why is it important to understand that history?
Well, I think it gives you perspective on, you know, in essence, the history of money lending, how since the beginning of mankind, there's been various tools, methodologies, et cetera. I mean, folks have been, you know, trading, you know, furs for shells. I mean, the whole bartering system, it all began with that, whether it be for sex or for food or for shelter or for fuel, or whatever. It's been around since mankind began. And as I said earlier, it's not going to abate. It's just up to us to figure out how to embrace all of the various tech and fintech and API integrations and the number of vendors and suppliers that are coming forward from Silicon Valley and Austin and all the rest, Boston, et cetera, in order to put together, you know, assemble all the pieces to offer financial products that make sense, you know, for our demographic in a fair and transparent way. I think we can do that. We don't need to charge the maximum allowable rates and fees prescribed by law. and we can still earn superior returns. We can still service our community. And then in the end, we decide as a result of our success how we want to help people, not how we're going to allow the government to take the results of our hard work and energy and devotion. I mean, anyone who thinks that we have the ability today to just launch a brand new company and it's just no effort. It's there's no, it's ours. And I mean, you two know you've taken over a tremendous business from your father, and I'm still amazed by that. And able to bring to the marketplace financial products that serve everyone, from the underbanked, the unbanked. I mean, I can pick out any study you wish. Data will eventually yield to whatever the hell results you want it to come to. And we have the ability to really take care of our folks, common Joes, common Jills, and deliver a product that makes sense for everyone with full transparency, honesty, and just do good. We can do good.
I guess what I'm kind of hearing is a lot of times we hear people in our industry who are like, oh man, is our industry going to get wiped out? Is it going to go away? They're kind of on the defensive. What's the government doing? And what you're kind of saying is, let's shift to offensive. Let's decide how we want to help people. Let's leverage all of modern technology. Let's understand the idea that lending's not going to disappear and lean into that. Is that kind of your first piece of advice for people?
Absolutely. The business of lending to the masses will not abate ever. It's always going to be out there for a multitude of reasons. Folks face temporary financial challenges, life happenings, from, medical situations to a simple automobile breaks down and they need to maintain their job and get that car repaired. And where are they going to go? The majority of their peers are in the same boat. You need $500 for a set of tires for your car in order to keep your job. Who are you going to go to? The bank? Forget about it. The incumbents, they don't want us. They don't want our demographic. There's no money in it. And we all know that.
Obviously, looking at things historically, you're able to see patterns and trends and events that have happened before. But as COVID-19 unfolded, and for many of us, this was a new experience. We hadn't felt this before, and when you turned on the news, what were you thinking? What were you observing?
Opportunity. Number one, first thing, survival. Get liquid. We know this isn't going to last forever. We know that more vaccines, more viruses of all sorts are coming our way. It's life. I mean, we've all been through these roller coasters from, various recessions, depressions, Operation Chokepoint. Now we've got all of the fintech companies coming out of Silicon Valley, some of the other areas like Boston and Austin and all the rest of it. And these are some brilliant, savvy individuals, but they don't know our space. So they've built some platforms that really achieve some tremendous abilities to help us reduce our head counts, reduce our overhead costs, reduce our line items on our P&Ls, thereby reducing the rates that we need to charge in order to be put in a position where we can develop a multitude, a plethora, again, of various financial products that fit each individual customer's financial challenge, be it long-term, short-term, whatever that may be. And so by collaborating with them, helping them understand how their products and their platforms can, in essence, partner and collaborate with what we're doing, we're opening their eyes as well as they opening our eyes and helping us to reduce all of our costs and our fees, and therefore everyone win-win. We need to be everywhere 24/7, 365. If you've got a team that's in this industry, the business of lending money, you need to be everywhere your customer is. And we'll get deeper into this as we go as to how to achieve that.
I'm picturing, okay, pandemic, corona outbreak, economy's going into lockdown. Jer's getting calls from people he's consulting, and it sounds like, Jer, first thing you're advising them is, look, this is an opportunity. Don't curl up and get terrified, right? And then after you say, okay, this is an opportunity, you said get liquid and then focus in on your target market. How can you serve them? What do they need? How can we get more specific with the loan products that we build for them? Is that kind of the way those conversations go? Is there anything else you would advise to anyone attending TCLS, that how can they adapt, pivot, and thrive?
Well, absolutely. I mean, step number one, survival, liquidity. Just get through it. It's short term. It's not going to last forever. And then secondly, this is going to change. The vaccines will arrive. The economy will open back up. Immediate gratification is still going to be an ongoing theme with an awful lot of our our demographic. That financial education is a critical piece of what we offer, and having the opportunity to develop and present in a fully transparent way the various types of financial products that are available to them, and allow consumer choice is our number one goal.
So it sounds like what you're kind of saying is, when people come into something like a pandemic, even as a business owner, sometimes we're getting sucked into the short-term thinking, but you're saying stay long-term with your thinking. We're going to get through this, and you want to play the long game, which is we need to stay, out there so our customer base is seeing our business. We need to control kind of the narrative and not let it be spin towards, APRs and the things that the big banks are trying to do. And really we need to focus on education and just kind of playing this out in the long game, stick with our strategy, work together as an industry, and kind of have an abundance mentality. Am I understanding that correctly? I think that's great advice.
No, absolutely. And the key to do that is to, have regular conversations with your various vendors, your LMS providers, folks like you that have been in the space for 20 plus years. I mean, you guys have seen it all. You've been on that roller coaster. Again, depressions, recessions, choke point, all the rest of it. So you're hearing from your customers, and it's going nowhere but up. The middle class, it's a matter of this theme of serfdom is expanding. The haves and the have-nots, and so we need to help them by providing them with the opportunity to increase or improve their financial situation, and then benefit from America. I mean, we're the luckiest people on the planet. I mean, not only do we live in the United States of America, where's better to live? And again, in today's world, have a laptop, will travel. So you can participate in this industry. If you're smart enough to have embraced the cloud, to prepared for these kind of events with this digital channel that we all know has been coming, the problem is the old timers, they've been taking the easy way. It was easy money, so why change if you don't have to change? Corona hit, it accelerated this movement, this evolvement to the digital channels. And your team at Infinity obviously is prepared for this. You saw this coming too. Not all of them have, from vendors, from payment processors to underwriters, et cetera. They just took the easy path. And now here we are, the whole work from home kind of theme that's going on. Some of us are prepared, some are not. I see a lot of M&A about to take place, a lot of failures. There's just a lot of operators who did not foresee this kind of event happening, and the acceleration as a result of Corona and pandemic and lockdowns and government stipends, demand is down temporarily, et cetera, et cetera. So you got to be ready. You need a visionary on your team, someone up above a little bit, probably like a couple of folks on your team. Maybe it's even one of the two of you, who maybe it's your dad, who has an opportunity to step back to that 10,000 foot level and see, okay, here's what's coming. Yeah, okay, I see the Biden administration. We know they're not going to be real friendly to us. So we have a lot of work to do.
From our perspective, we've definitely seen a trend of people who traditionally had been brick and mortar lenders, their whole existence, never wanted to move to online. But as soon as COVID hit, they're like, all right, we're ready. We're moving over. And those, I think, are the ones who are thinking exactly like you just described. They're seeing the opportunity. They're wanting to serve that growing serfdom who don't have access to traditional credit or banking. And they're like, all right, this is our time to make the move. And it's really cool because some of them have really been thriving. Other people who are great lenders have often had the question like, I really care about the customer experience. I really care about talking to my customers and getting to know them. I don't know how to do that online. But if I hear you talking correctly, it's like, get out of your own head. Don't worry about what you don't know what to do. Reach out to others. Reach out to others in the space who are trying to form the same coalition, trying to serve these same people. If you don't know how to do it tactically, they do. And work with them, talk with them. It's not an unsolvable problem.
One thing, if you've been in the space for any length of time, you come to the conclusion very quickly that there are some extremely savvy, intelligent individuals that are in the space. And now we're able to tap into other various kinds of platforms that had not really identified the opportunities that we bring to the table. Money lending is not exactly top of everyone's list, but when you've got a platform, so to speak, built out, oftentimes they don't know about market fit and they have no clue how to get awareness and how their platform and their solution can tie in with what we're offering. And in the end, as we collaborate and build our teams and begin the partnership, we can begin to offer products instantaneous. I mean, today we can fund a loan in less than 5 seconds. I mean, you can customer acquisition, onboarding, underwriting, processing, funding, collecting. You're talking 20, 30 seconds and wham, the money is in their account or it's on their card or there's a QR code they can walk up to and pull cash out. I mean, it's amazing, but there's all of these various entrepreneurs and engineers and so forth kind of working out there in the middle of nowhere from be it Utah or Venezuela, Mexico City right now. Again, name the city in the USA, and they don't know about one another. So how do they solve that? Associations, conventions, these virtual conventions like Infinity is created right here. I think this is a fantastic approach to getting us all together and begin brainstorm. There's a new, and again, pardon me, as I explained previously, I do have a habit to go off in various trends, but there's a new, brand new app out there right now that called Clubhouse. You can jump into Clubhouse on your app, create a meeting, call it, title loan, payday loan, installment loan mastermind group, and get some of the smartest, most intelligent investors, billionaires, operators, vendors, suppliers, and customers who you can really speak with and hear their story. All just spontaneous, give and take, live. It's like Twitter on audio.
Jer's been doing this for a long time. He's consulted a bunch of people, and what he's saying is, okay, you need to have a visionary person on your team. That person needs to make space, give themselves time to think, give themselves time to look at the big picture, not be so bogged down in the day-to-day. We need to build a community and be connected and communicate with each other and not just locked away in a closet. That's not where breakthroughs happen, right? Like it happens with the communication in the community and reaching out with each other. Like if lenders are doing those three things, which seems simple, then lending volume is going to go up. Their business is going to start prospering. I think this is just incredible advice. And I want to thank you, Jer, for sharing that. Well, if you don't mind, Jer, would it be cool if we jump into picking your brain a little bit about the Biden victory, Biden administration? What does this mean for our lenders? What kinds of trends have you seen with the response of borrowers during 2020 and now at the start of 2021? Like, what have you kind of seen in lending, and how are you recommending that lenders adapt?
No surprises whatsoever. The initial response was tighten down, no more loans, only work with your React, so to speak, industry, you know, tech for the three of us, and just trying to, like kind of a deer in the headlights. Like, what do I do? So my particular strategy and counsel has been to really take a look at consolidation. Where do you stand as far as your ability? Have you made the most of your website and your phone? Those are critical. If you fail to embrace, for years, my theme has been, other than the business of lending to the masses, embrace the internet or die. Well, those who failed to follow that heed, and I'm not the only one, there's dozens of us who have stressed that same thing. You're gone. You're history. It's about the phone. It's about customer ease. It's about their ability to, walk into any location they wish, from their home to their office to school, whatever. Pick up that phone, quick, easy. I mean, we're so lucky in our industry. There's so many possibilities and opportunities to collaborate with folks who have had that vision and been able to actually take action, which is very unusual, to make it work. So right now you've got companies out there where a customer can arrive on a landing page or via his phone, and within moments, that potential lender can determine whether this individual just worked 2 hours for Uber, how much they made, what car they drove, what part of the city, what their IP address was, where geographically speaking are they on the map. In less than 5 seconds, that's done. Next move, IBV, instant bank verification. We all know you can take a look at a consumer's historical 2 years of bank statements. How many payday loans, other payday loans do they have simultaneously? Are they getting a regular income deposited in that bank account month after month after month? How long have they had that cell phone provider, AT&T or T-Mobile or whoever it may be? In other words, the ability to underwrite a consumer today is it's moments. And you can even do this with strictly AI. There's no need for a human to even be involved. So again, it's back to attending associations, supporting associations. Those associations, what do they do with their dues? They go to DC, they go to the state capitals, they help us, they protect us, they spread our message. You got a great new leader, OLA, Mary, fantastic lady, knows the space well. She's out there, she's out in front, she's doing her job, she's educating all the various players that are in our space. And again, I've never been so more optimistic about the future of our industry and how we can, again, make a decent living, make superior ROIs, and still be of tremendous help to the average Joe, who's right now, what's he doing? He's got a bank account, bouncing a check. We all know the true APR value of a check hits 1,800%. It's just a matter of how many days it was out there. 70% of a bank's net profits are derived from NSFs. That's wrong. And do they have any incentive to change that? No, but we do, through education and building out a spectrum of financial products. Again, some collateralized, some non-collateralized, line of credit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Man, I had no idea. You said 70% of a bank's net profit comes from NSF fees?
According to a multitude of various, again, depending on who funded that report.
Yeah.
And that's Pew and CRL, our own industry associations. But yes, in general, credit unions are a bit less.
Wow. That's mind-blowing. I feel like nobody knows that. Dang. Okay,
No.
So we've got Biden coming in. We know things are going to change. Your first piece of advice, dial in your website, dial in your tech stack, and look at these, bigger picture. How can we adapt and really like bring in customers, fund them better, take better care of them. It's not about curling up and hiding. And then the next thing is with the change, like what are you thinking now that Biden's officially president? What do you see coming? Is there anything else that you recommend we need to do on the political side of things, or is it not something we need to be worrying about? What are your thoughts there?
So the first thing really is to begin to downplay that term payday loan. It's a hot point, you know. Don't use that term. We've moved on now. We've evolved. It's more about line of credit, installment loans, various kinds of collateralized loans, etc. The banks have a tendency to increase the loan terms, increase the various payback periods. I mean, it's much easier to originate a loan with a very large principal balance, even though the consumer's there for $300, $500, and suddenly they walk out with a $3,000 loan. The ability to pay, that's another area that we have to look at very closely. And again, we as lenders do not have to reinvent the wheel. If you're out there and you've developed awareness, and that's really my goal. My role really is a conduit, kind of a networker, build my Rolodex. So I get a multiplicity of calls from all over the world. And I don't look at every phone call or communication with someone looking at our space as a transaction. I'm not looking to, generally speaking, I'm not expecting or anticipating to be paid for every word that I bring up. But instead, oftentimes it just makes much more sense to say, hey, look, you're looking for an LMS. I know 3 of the top ones in the space, Infinity being number 1. So I'll do an intro to Infinity, 1 or 2 of the other ones, and go through the demos, take a look, have an idea. First you've assembled your team, hopefully, and identified the various specifics, the lacking in specialties that you may onboard 2 or 3 folks, but you're missing some pieces. So you take a look at a company like Infinity, who they're integrated with, talk to their vendors, talk to the group at Infinity, decide upon, number 1, what's your exit strategy? I mean, ultimately, number 1, it sounds counterintuitive, but when you're looking at the space as a de novo lender, I'm assuming, okay, number 1, how am I going to get out of this? What's my plan? Do I want to go IPO? Do I want to just create some sort of annuity where just the cash machine spins off money every month and I go to the Bahamas and relax? Do I want to pass that on to my family? Like in some cases, what's my end game? And then from there, you can begin to come to grips with what sort of business model makes the more sense and what types of products fit that ultimate exit strategy. Again, back to single payment products, payday loans, line of credit, installment, collateralized, non-collateralized, title, blah, blah, blah.
Jer was talking about, using the right terminology. Don't just jump in there as a payday lender, because that one's heavily criticized nowadays. So if I hear you right, it sounds like there's a bit of a branding war, a propaganda war that's going on. And we as lenders need to be intelligent about how we represent ourselves. And that, like you said, goes back to your mobile phone, your website, the company brand that you're bringing to the table. You want it to look every bit as intelligent, as trustworthy, as reliable as the big banks out there are doing, because the big banks are doing that so it feels comfortable, it feels safe. But going back to those, 70% NSF fees, that's wrong. That's not okay. And if people are worried about lenders, and we get stigmatized with the idea of loan sharks or payday lenders who are just out there to rob, we need to do something to change the narrative there. Do you see people out there that are fighting to change that narrative? And if so, how are they doing it?
Oh, absolutely. Probably first of all, the website has become supreme. Combine that with a very strong, memorable brand. If your social media folks like Natalia, for example, are out there 24/7, 365, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, on, and whatever the next one is, if Facebook, of course, if they're out there constantly bringing that strong, memorable, easily recognized brand to the attention of the consumers, they keep seeing it over and over and over. Eventually, they're going to visit it. And then if you are completely transparent on that website, reveal it all, tell the story. This is who you're for. This is your service. This is your product. These are the 1, 2, 3 products that you offer. Here's the states you're in. Or if you're tribal, you're in virtually all of them. Except for maybe a few in Northeast United States. Then they're going to begin to, it's like Coca-Cola. That's your goal. You want to be that Coca-Cola, right? So then, in addition to the website being the ultimate, the supreme center of your universe, you want to utilize that to not only drive consumers and traffic and so forth to potential clients to that website, but behind the cloud, you want to, how many people a week or a month do you hire? What's your head count? What do they need? Training. Okay. They're going to work your call center, or maybe you're outsourcing to a call center, whatever the case may be. You take your best and your brightest and you do exactly what you and I are all doing together now. Mm-hmm. You take that call center, CSR. She knows how to respond to various questions. She knows how to help customers. She knows how to educate customers. You're not measuring her by how many calls a day she does. You're measuring her by her ability to help your brand stand out and be the go-to for understanding and solutions. So record her once. You put her up in the cloud on the website. Customers go to your website. You've got testimonials. You've got all your product descriptions. Again, full transparency. I mean, you've got meetings with your marketing people, for example. Okay, you call a meeting. It's a Zoom call right now. You're not going to meet in an office. What do? Put together your bullets. You cover the video conferencing, and then you put it up on the web in your cloud behind a gate, right? Then you invite your 10 or 15 or whatever head count you've got. Allow them, number one, you insist, watch the video first. These are the topics we're going to cover. All right. So now they're prepared. They've already seen it. So they've seen the presentation. So when your group jumps on that phone call or that Zoom conversation, you don't need to go through and watch the damn video. They've seen it already. So now it's okay. We're open to discussion. Who thinks what? Who's got an idea? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Who's got a better idea? And together you can work as a group in basically providing a one front, consistent answer to FAQs, for example. I mean, that's just, on the brainstorming visionary side. So Chris sets it up, invites you, me, a couple of the folks, guys from outside the space. Sometimes you want folks that are not even related to our industry to join in. Quick discussion of the problem. They've already seen the video once again. At the end of the video, it's, okay, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? Do you have any input? Then you schedule a follow-up call. You can take your meetings. I don't know how many meetings a week Infinity has. I don't know what your head count is. I imagine it's fairly significant. I don't know how much your business you guys outsource and so forth. But if all these potential group members have already watched the video, for example, explaining the topic and what the goals are, then you can jump right on it, knock it out in 10 minutes and be done. Everybody goes back and does their thing. I mean, there's just some tremendous opportunities today that we have at our disposal. Meanwhile, the old timers, they're doing it the old way. It was easy money. They failed to see, what's coming 5, 10 years. Biden's here, Biden's gone. Frankly, honestly, they're all the same. The incumbents like credit unions and banks dislike us. And we all know why. They would rather the consumer go to the bank and experience an NSF for $35 than borrow $100 from us and pay 15 or 17 bucks. It's that simple. And then, of course, we know we have outliers. There's always those consumers that are out there, borrowing 10 or 12 times a year. There's the horror stories. And that's who the media jumps on all the time. Well, we need to tell our story. Again, your website is supreme. So why not video consumers with some of their stories, how you save them, how some little construction guy needed materials and he wasn't going to get paid by his client until the job was done. He needs $2,500, $3,000, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
He takes his truck, he gets the title, buys the materials, he does the job, he gets paid, makes payroll. Everybody's happy. Where's he going to go? The bank? Forget about it. He has no choices. Our goal is to offer a multitude of choices that fit our customers' need and give back to the community. Follow up with education. Create some videos on take some of your top CSRs, for example, that really know they've heard a million stories and they've got empathy. You pick them. You create this type of environment and situation. Pop that up on your website, and then all your new hires, number one, they watch that. They feel for the people. They see where they're coming from. They have a complete understanding of their mindset, what kind of difficulties is challenging. I shared with you guys the other day, money remittance. Money remittance is a piece that's coming like us at a freight train. It's over a $1 trillion industry. And very quickly, $270 million a year are transmitted down to El Salvador. We discussed this already, but I'll repeat myself shortly for the benefit of our viewers. So El Salvadoran working in Chicago, working in construction, wants to send $100 to his mom in El Salvador. He goes to Western Union. He pays $10 to Western Union. They move the money down to Western Union, El Salvador. She goes into the Western Union, gets $90. So he sent 100, she gets 90. Organized gangs hanging out in El Salvador, they charge a tax. It's 30%. So now she gets $40. So he sent $100 from Chicago. She received $60 in El Salvador. Man, that's over with crypto, blockchain, all industries that we should be looking at because it's going to revolutionize the business of lending. Now he can send $100 to her phone. She walks up to a kiosk, scans a QR code. That machine dispenses local currency, $100. No fees. Changing the world. Africa, Nigeria, the US, China.
I just think like what you guys are talking about, this is what people need to be thinking about. Like this is the next level for all of us. And it's really cool to see it coming together. I've actually never seen it this clearly before until listening to this conversation. But if you think about it, the big banks have this crazy marketing campaign that's going out constantly and telling people how to view the world in a certain way and how money works and all that kind of stuff, right? And they'll latch onto these certain stories like Jer talked about to try and make their competitor industry, which would be us, look bad. And what Jer boiled it back down to right exactly what we need to do. He said, look, dial in your website, be very vocal, use kind of like guerrilla marketing tactics and get out there in ways that we can do better than them. And grab those stories from the front lines and disseminate the truth through your organization, out in your marketing messages. Share the truth with the world because the truth is going to be that we're out there helping people because that's our goal, right? And when we spread the truth out there, it makes everything better and it cuts through the marketing messages of these bigger companies and our businesses grow and we help more people. I mean, that is powerful. That's like really, really powerful. And I'm really glad you shared that. Thank you, Jer.
So this kind of brings up your point you were talking about transparency, right? And the importance of transparency. Kind of segueing into the next topic of universal rate caps. That's a big fear monger, here in our industry, but there are lots of loan products that can navigate around rate caps. And I believe that if lenders were more transparent about what their loan product does, how it helps, the potential drawbacks to it, or the fines that might be paid, the fees, but the benefit of it, and like you're saying, sharing the stories of people who actually use these loan products responsibly and it helps their life where they couldn't have been helped before. That level of transparency suddenly, in my mind, makes universal rate caps not so scary. What are your thoughts around that, Jer? How do you feel about the universal rate cap situation?
First of all, I think it should be left up to the state, the communities, and so on and so forth. I maintain a multitude of various bank accounts in order to reverse engineer some of those platforms. Dave.com, they're not they're not free. They're not making some sort of contribution for the benefit of mankind. They're making money. And how do they do that? They're in the iOS store, they're in the Android stores and so forth. You download the app, immediately you're charged $1 a month. All right, next, they alert you to the fact that you may have a potential NSF coming up in 7 to 10 days. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. I love that. We can do that too. So they offer you a $75 loan, no interest. Beautiful, free, sounds great. Okay, log in. What happens? Jer, you're approved for $75. Slide the screen over, you got it. Well, what happens on the second screen? Jer, the $75 we're about to give you free? Well, it's going to take 2 or 3 days to deposit that $75 into your bank account. How would you like to accelerate that $75? We'll put it in there today. It's only $4.95. Okay, cool. Slide to the right. I just paid $4.95. Hey, Jer, we survive on tips. Now, the default tip is 15%. Doesn't seem like a big deal on a $75 loan, right? I slide over the right. I just tipped them 15%. Again, the default tip is 15. You can slide to the left, slide to the right. There's a 10%, a 15%. There is a 20% tip or no tip at all. Slide to the right. Now you've tipped them. Next, lastly, Jer, we plant trees all over the world, especially in the Amazon. How'd you like to help? Click right here, $4, $5, $10, $15. Help us plant a tree, Jer. Okay, I slide to the right. I just gave him another $10 to plant a tree. Now, I borrowed that money, $75, typically 5 to 7, 8 days. What's the APR on that? 600% plus. Do they need a license? No. Do they have all of the compliance and regulatory issues that we have? No. Does anyone comprehend what just happened to them? No. Take the pay active, earned access wages. They're all the same. Accelerate this, tip this, blah, blah, blah. They're smart, really. I'm jealous because I'm not part of that. I have not managed. Somehow that particular solution passed me by. Or I'd be in it. I'd have my own money at work in it, like I have with a multitude of various other portfolios. So, ultimately, we just have to think outside the box. What's our goal? To solve that immediate financial challenge that our demographic, which, how big is that now? Look at the study. Who did the study? Did Pew do the study? Did CRL do the study? Or did OL do the study? It's all over the map. 40% can't access $400. Some say 60, some say 80. Serfdom is becoming kind of the theme, of America right now.
Jerry, your perspective on everything is like super unique, and I love hearing it. You can tell you're very well researched and have a ton of experience, and thank you for that. I think, Nick, if you're cool, I'm ready to jump on to the final point, which is Jer's point of measure everything. And so When we're talking about measuring everything, Jer, are you talking about KPIs, revenue metrics, or what are you referring to there?
Oh, absolutely. You need ideally, when you reach scale of any sort, you obviously have to embrace data and analytics and so forth. Now, you don't have to bring that in-house or develop it in-house. There's a multitude of various platforms. You guys know more about it than I do, but there's a multitude of various platforms out there that you can outsource to. They've got data that just beyond imagination. Right now, I'm working with a company, instant bank verification. I'm sorry, instant wage verification. I'm sure you guys know all about them. Basically, I can tell you in 3 minutes whether this new borrower that I've never seen before approach my all godlike website application page, and I can tell whether this gentleman or this woman or whatever applied for a loan, and I know they just worked the 3 hours this morning for Uber, and then they went over to Postmates and put in another shift, and then they worked the 3 to 11 shift for UPS. I know exactly how much money they made, how much today. It's real time. I've got instant verification on their wages earned and their income and so forth. Next step, I can add on the IBV piece. Again, we've got a multitude of various IBV platforms out there that give me up to a 2-year history of their bank account information. Are they getting Social Security? Are they collecting unemployment? Do they have a consistent wage deposit, on a monthly statement? How many employers do they have? It's all right there, clean. Do they have the ability to repay? I can take a look at that. My data analytics people can set that up in such a fashion that within a minute, I know. 3-4 minutes max, I can make a decision as to whether I want to fund this lender or rather this borrower. On top of it, I've got in the case of the seasoned lenders, I've got all this data. Take a look. CashNet USA, back in the 90s. Who are they today? Avant and the Innovas of the world. Publicly traded companies, Kira. You can see they did $300 million in small dollar loans in their last reporting quarter. And they've got 3% of the market. The payday loan piece of that is right now, it's down to 8%. They were 100% payday loans back in the day, in the 98s and so forth. You've got founders, savants like Al Goldstein, for example, who has basically evolved over the years into a highly sophisticated lender. He's got probably his cost of capital is somewhere around 8% versus a de novo startup who's looking at, friends and family rounds, seed rounds. The cost of capital is a big issue for us as an industry. If we want to get our rates down, we want to help our community, our customers. That money doesn't go into our pockets. So we need the ability to get a hold of cash at reasonable rates so that we can transfer that out, cut our fees, cut our rates, work with our vendors and our suppliers that are specialists in payment processing and, again, onboarding and data analytics and all the rest of it, so that we can offer a competitive product and help the average Joe Blow. That's our goal. And also help them build their credit lines, help them move up that credit cycle. Regarding, again, what to do short term and what to do long term. Short term, we know we're in a tremendous environment of disruption. No one knows, is the vaccine going to work? No one knows for sure when the hospitality industry is going to recover. Nobody knows when the restaurants are going to open and so on and so forth. So you got to play the short-term game and the long-term game. Long-term, we're solid. We know this industry is not going to devolve. But short-term, what do you do? It gets back to exit strategy, because you always have to have that in the back of your mind. You know, where do you want to be? Where do you want to take this thing? So that kind of determines your next approach. So who do you use? There are a multitude of highly intelligent specialists in various aspects of our industry. And I'm referring to those who help us with customer acquisition, with the onboarding and the underwriting and the processing and the funding and the collecting. And then on the bad paper side, you know, the 90-day-old stuff, what do we do with that? You know, do we sell that for 4 cents on the dollar? Or do we use Armada Labs and allow AI to negotiate with our lender with no human involvement whatsoever, and basically negotiate a deal online, 24/7, 365, on their phone, on their internet, make a deal, a nice folksy kind of welcoming sort of intro, and then congratulate them if indeed the negotiation works out, and remind them that, hey, we're here. You know, things are going to change for you. 3 months, 6 months, a year, come back, see us. That brand is going to be extremely important, so that they'll recall who we are and what we do and how we help them. But myself, I jump on the phone. I'm looking at a situation, maybe it could be a de novo startup, or I'll get a call from an existing lender, and he's having challenges in specific aspects of his business. So let's say it's lead acquisition. So I can call 10 different companies, say, hey, this is Jer, got a client, need some leads. Here's what he does. This is his product. This is his time frame. These are the resources he has available. Head count, what state, is state license, tribal license, etc. If you were in his situation, what would you do? How would you acquire customers that fit his demographic and would find my particular financial products appealing? And then I shut up and I listen. And I can get a multitude of opinions, because I don't have all the answers, guys. I really don't. All I have really going for me, to be perfectly straight with you, is just an ability to reach out to some of the most intelligent, strongest, experienced lenders, vendors like you in our space, and get answers. I assemble all that information. If I'm part of a team trying to solve this problem, we get together, we brainstorm, might use Clubhouse.com. I'm telling you, I'll send you invites, I promise. And I can have 5 or 10 guys, you know, all on the phone simultaneously. And we're just going back and forth, you know, and eventually determine a pathway to achieving our goals from the real experts. I don't need to know everything about every aspect of my business. Ideally, I would, but it's like taxes. You know, I don't care. You know, I'm a macro guy. You know, just look, here's my tax situation. What do you recommend I do? Looking a year down the road, I want to pay my taxes, but I want to minimize them. So find those savants in each piece that makes up, say, the pizza pie for lending to the masses. And then what are the other outlier industries and platforms and so forth that might make sense? You know, like kiosk manufacturers, for example. I've been in long talks with them. You can bring in a kiosk. If you're a brick and mortar guy, you're trying to increase your revenue stream. Your demand is down right now. Demand is down temporarily, again, because of government stipends and all the rest. Unemployment benefits are up, blah, blah, blah. We know that's all going to end. So I want to keep my store. I want to protect my employees. My employees are very, very important to me. I've got Frank over here, let's say, making this up, been with me 10 years. I don't want to lose Frank. I don't want to send Frank out on the unemployment lines. So what do I do? I figure out, do I partner with a tribe, and yet I go into I change the signage on my store, and suddenly I'm a mortgage loan lender, or I'm a tax prep service. Just so happen to have a kiosk over here that dispenses cash, that dispenses physical debit cards and virtual cards, that transfers money from here to El Salvador or the Philippines or Nigeria or Zimbabwe, does it cash checks. So, I'm just looking for a multitude of different revenue streams to keep my location open, keep my employees, earning a good, decent, above average income, loyal to me, and helping my community again. And that's kind of the way I work it.
Man, thank you, Jer, so much. This was really cool, really exciting to be able to sit down, the three of us, enjoy the world from your perspective for a little bit. I mean, you said it first, right? Lending's the oldest profession. It's not going anywhere. It's changed a bunch of different times, but the more we can understand that, the more we can understand how to adapt, pivot, and thrive going into the future.
Yeah.
COVID has accelerated a few things. It's pushed people digital. Capitalize on that, everyone. Make the most of your website. Make the most of your brand. Be transparent. Get out there and show people that you mean to do good if that's really what you mean to do. Network with people. Let's make an army of people who are trying to do good for the industry, who are trying to reach out and help others. As you do that, people will notice, and we're not going to be seen the way we've always been seen. Like Jer was saying, it changes over time. There are trends, and we can be in control of those trends if we're working with the right minds, right? When it comes to our government, it's temporary. It'll change. And the laws and regulations that are going around, they're going to change too. So we need to be flexible. We need to be resilient, and we need to work together again. You don't have to be the expert of everything. I love, Jer, that you say that. You don't need to be the expert of everything, but you do need to be good at finding the experts. You do have to be willing to put in the research and put in the time beyond just making money. And you need to be measuring those things. If I hear you right, Jer, it definitely sounds like you're saying take more of a scientific approach to this. Go in with a strategy. Go in with an exit in mind. Don't just throw yourself against the wall and hope it's successful, because it's probably not going to work out for you if you don't think beyond the short term. There's two games going on, short term and long term. And man, Jer, you just put that into such clear perspective. We really appreciate your insight, your knowledge, the time you spent here with us. And we really appreciate your stories. So much to be learned from those. It's clear that you're an amazing writer. You've done lots of work, and it shows. And we're grateful that you shared that with us.
Yeah. An incredible entrepreneur, incredible person. Jer, thank you so much for joining us for TCLS.
Sayonara.
Thanks, Jer.
See you, Jer.
All right, bye.
Nick, thank you. I feel like the recap that you just gave at the end was sufficient and extremely helpful. Jer, thank you again. We are now 2 sessions into the Consumer Lending Summit, and I hope you've already received a ton of value. I know I have. Take a second and stretch, get up, get some water, coffee, and next up, we'll be seeing you for collection strategies with the lender herself. See you soon.